All right. We are here. A Gotham Knight, episode 3. I'm going to call this the show from hell because this has been just a weird organizing of this episode. But you know what? Show must go on, and I've got two very awesome guests with me. I'm very actually happy. I have anybody right now. And I'm really glad. I've got two awesome people to join us. Uh, People had, sick people had to come through. People got busy. Things got crazy. But either way, we got still more hyped Batman comic books to talk about. I'm excited to talk about this one. So yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. I'm your host, Paul Herman. I am joined with my friend here, Jay Yaz. Yeah.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, dude, thanks for coming on like kind of last minute. I really appreciate it. Like it's awesome. I need to have you on more because we had a blast on the Mega Chill stream a couple
Oh,
months
yeah.
ago. That was good times. And Adam, right? He's always old faithful. We call Adam old faithful. My good buddy for Adam from the Spidey Network, and also joined me on many shows on this show. Thank you for joining us on last minute, Adam.
Very last minute, but no problem.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Well, today, this was again our friend Ryan Haas, who was the first person out of bail. Now he's got lots of stuff going on, so I no, this is not a knock on him, but this is one of the books that he recommended us to read, A Dark Knight, A Dark City. When I asked him to give me books for you all to read to get hyped up for the Batman movie coming out. So, which I'm actually really curious what you guys are both thinking about that movie in a second. But I asked Ryan, give me your thoughts on why you recommended this comic book because we're gonna get into it. And he gave you some of his thoughts of why he chose it. So we'll get into that in a minute because this was interesting. This is an interesting story. I'm just gonna say
It's
that
a
right
weird
now.
one. It's definitely weird.
It's weird, but I thought it was
It's
pretty cool.
spooky.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah,
spooky. It's cool.
yeah. No. Yeah. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. But
Well, there's a certain scene that
I kind of
We
spoiled it
know.
a little bit
We
on the
know.
online a little bit. Yeah, we'll get into it in a second. But we I guess before we get into everything, this is a live stream about the Batman, getting hyped for the Batman. Now, now, Jay, I already know your position on the Batman, so I'll go you last because I already know we already know what you think. I'm curious because I haven't asked Adam yet. Adam, what's your relationship with Batman? I haven't really asked you before. What's your relationship quickly, and what's your hype levels for this movie coming out? Go ahead.
my relationship with Batman is kind of like I haven't read a lot of the comics, but I've seen the anime. I watched the animated series when I was a kid. I think that informed my perspective on the character. Like it has probably a lot of people from in my age group. I've seen I think most or if not all of the movies. So that's kind of like how I mostly know the character. I want to read more of the comics. I've read like some of the, the classics, like Year 1 and Dark Knight and Killing Joke and stuff, but I kind of want to dive in a little more. That's why I'm glad I read this cuz this was a cool little story.
Yeah, it's different. It was yeah. It's
It's
not your
different.
typical. Yeah, it's not your typical. Like the greatest hits collection where it's like
Yeah,
go read Frank Miller, go read
right.
go read Denny O'Neil. Which again, those aren't
Yeah,
bad things. I'm not saying those are bad, but that's not this. Like
Sometimes you
right.
want something a little off the beaten path, which this
Yes.
right.
is
This is
most
yeah.
definitely off the beaten path.
And actually yeah, that's what I liked about it. But yeah, the movie, I like the new movie. I was into the announcement of this movie when it was like, oh, Matt Reeves is doing it, and he says it's going to be a mystery, and they're going to go into the whole detective side of Batman. I'm like, okay, cool. That sounds like something cool and a little different than what we usually get with the movies. Uh, I didn't have a problem with Robert Pattinson being cast. I didn't have a problem when they revealed the suit. I know some people kind of didn't like how the suit looked when it was first shown.
Yeah.
Uh, I like the Batmobile. I know some
Yeah.
people don't really like the Batmobile, how it looks in this, or at least I've heard some things like. But I like the look and the tone from the trailers and everything, and it all looks really cool to me. I'm pretty hyped about it. Well, I'm reasonably hyped for it. My friends are looking forward to it. They think it looks really cool, and yeah, I don't know. I'm into it.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I'm curious. We'll have future Gotham Knight episodes because this will be many and many shows. Hopefully, as long as the comic binge is still around. I love sub series. You probably already know that, but if you haven't known that, I love sub series. There'll be a Star Wars sub series coming out very very soon. Hopefully, if I don't lose my voice, it'll come out sooner than later. Um, the other, but one thing I will say, I would love to have you on and get your perspective on some of the books we're reading. Like I don't know if you see this right here. This I just did a review on this a couple weeks ago with and it was this is I highly recommended that. Jay, have you read this yet? The Batman and
Yeah. I reviewed it for the site I write for.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, did you like it? Just quickly, I didn't know if you.
It was all right.
All right, all right.
It looked great. I love Dustin Nguyen,
Really?
and Jeff Lemire usually doesn't miss.
I know. I love him.
I don't know. I felt like it was a little too, like it didn't do enough with like Batman and Robin, or Robin and Batman like together to really get a good idea of why they're doing another take on their like like a year one Batman and Robin story. I don't feel I personally don't feel like it necessarily justified itself. Felt like there were a couple of spots at the end that out of context were kind of cool and I really liked as a fan, but I don't think the series earned it as much because Batman was just kind of a jerk the whole time and everything. But I mean it looked great and everything, but the story just is just kind of okay for me.
Agree, disagree, but that's
okay. Sorry to bring the energy down.
Listen, I love. Good night. No, I love disagreements. I think you both know that.
Oh yeah.
I love disagreeing with people and disagreeing with me. I love debating and talking about it because there's no right or wrong answer. It's a preference, and I love hearing people's different perspective. So yeah, I think it's definitely. I can see your points. I don't agree with them, but I totally get what you're saying though too.
And I mean, from what I've read, I appear to be in the minority about it because a lot of people like loved it, and I won't take that away from them. I mean, it may have just been. I mean, there's so much Batman stuff out there.
A lot of Batman right now.
Kind of, get a little burnt out on stuff, and but this I was really looking forward to, and it still just kind of played it. Well, it's kind of funny because I was asked to be on 2 different shows about 3 Jokers when that came out, and like not sight unseen necessarily, but people just asked me, and like everyone's going around the room like top 5 Batman story, whatever, and then they get to me, and it's like, I mean, it was good.
I love the Jokers. As you probably saw me last week defending it and being called certain things.
I saw some of that. I liked 3 Jokers more than Robin and Batman.
That's fair.
And I mean, I didn't dislike Robin and Batman. I didn't love 3 Jokers either. I think they're both like 7s somewhere in there. That's
I'm not, and Phil, man, are you talking about this one? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments here. Yeah. So I guess J Man, for you, I mean, I know you're a huge Batman fan, and you're part of that crew, of, the Batman film crew, or associated with them anyway. I know that. What's your take on just kind of hype levels for the Batman? I'm curious what your feeling is. I haven't really seen too many thoughts of yours out, just getting pumped for it. At least I have missed it maybe, but what's your take on the movie coming out?
I mean, I'm looking forward to it as a Batman movie. Unlike Adam, I don't like any of the aesthetics for the movie.
Really?
Well, okay, I take like the movie itself looks gorgeous. Like just the cinematography. Right. I mean, some great, filmmaking shots, but Colin Farrell as the Penguin looks like appropriately gross, and he looks like he's having a good time that I'm not yet. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, just some of the I don't know. You look at like other movies and shows we're getting now, where I'm not saying everything has to be like everything else, but you get something like oh gosh, you look at like the Suicide Squad, where you've got like a comics accurate Peacemaker,
Right.
and go over to Marvel, and even looking at like Scarlet Witch at the end of WandaVision, it doesn't look
Yeah.
exactly like the comics, but it looks like a comic costume.
Mhm.
So just getting stuff that's trying so hard to be gritty, real, grounded, everything. It's like I mean, I get it. It's a take. It's a choice. I just kind of wish, and I'm not saying that they're ashamed of it being, comic booky and everything, but it's like
Right.
just lean into it. I mean, these are
Yeah.
Sure. I get
even
that. Yeah.
even Batman is a somewhat more realistic character. There's still, fantasy to it. He's still a fantastical character. So,
Like in what we read today,
yeah,
tonight.
Yeah.
exactly.
I think that's the kind of thing I loved about the Snyderverse, if you will, is that it did bring that fantasy element into it. Whether or not, I'm not sure if you're a big fan of the Snyderverse or not. I'm tend to be in the middle more. I think I love most of the films he's put out. I think this Justice League Snyder cut is phenomenal. I've been on record saying that. I'm not a Snyder junkie by any means, but I think that movie is amazing. It looks incredible in 4K too, by the way. Holy crap, I think it looks incredible. But I did like the fact that Batman was in a different world, that it wasn't just the vigilante ninja side. It was more of like the super villain, kind of
Oh yeah,
the
totally.
fantasy element. And that was cool to see him. And it was cool to see him in that element of how he's not the most powerful character, but he was utilized really well. With the Batman, I think I like everything I've seen for the most part. I've avoided most trailers just after the main two. I will say I love the first. I think the first one was a slam dunk. It was a out of the park
Yeah.
home run. The second one I liked, but there's elements that make me nervous. And part of it is Robert Pattinson's performance seems a little over the top. It's just I'm a little nervous. I think he's a great actor, and I need to see it in context. But
Yeah.
the scene where he's like,
Oh yeah, that.
I
No,
was
that's
like,
that's like. I mean, that became a meme because of the way his like mouth looks in that shot.
it's not great, and there's a couple other shots where I'm just like okay, like when Penguin goes, I got you, and it's like, it's like it's like so over the top. I'm like, oh man, this
But
looks
then that's like comic booky
no,
stuff
it
right
is.
there.
It
Yeah.
is, but here's the thing, like what Jay was saying, the aesthetic is so realistic, it doesn't really fit. I don't know if it fits. Again, I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
going
that's
into it.
fair, I think.
But again, I want to see it in context, because I think if I see the whole film in its entirety, it'll flow a lot differently. I think I have not been disappointed with what I've seen so far. I want to make that very clear. So I do want to bring this up though. Uh, by the way, I'm going to say this right now. Little Caesars Pizza, the bat symbol pizza, is phenomenal. And I'm
Oh,
not.
I
Yeah.
wrote a review for it
I'm
on
not. Yeah.
Batman News, and it was really, really good.
I think that should be a staple on Little Caesars. They should
It
pay
really should.
for. And this is no, like, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being
No, no,
100%
no.
serious, y'all.
It
It's
was
really good.
like the calzone part was actually like super delicious.
Yeah.
The cheese sauce that it had inside was great. And yeah, I mean, to that point, I like the fact that the movie looks like it's going to be leaning into detective elements.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That I'm all about. The things that I'm really, I mean, even aesthetics aside, like I don't love the bat suit from like the Dark Knight, and I don't even necessarily love
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Ledger's Joker the way he looks. Like I love his suit, but even like the clown makeup, it's like
Yeah.
okay. I mean, it's a take. It's a take.
Sure.
I don't hate it, but I don't. I mean, if
You will
I
prefer that over
I
like
don't
Perma
prefer,
White.
I don't. Yeah, I don't prefer that, but I love the movie so much I don't even care.
Sure.
Fair.
So hopefully this movie is kind of like that, where
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just end up loving the movie, but there are some elements about even where it looks like they're getting inspiration that I'm a little antsy about. Like I don't know if you're kind of in that what you're kind of hinting at, Paul, but drawing some stuff from like the Telltale stuff and even Batman Earth
Yeah.
1, where like the Waynes are either dirty and corrupt or have like histories of like mental illness and everything. I don't know if I'm definitely not down with the Waynes being
Right.
corrupt at all. I
Yeah.
hate that that's even a trope now, and I just really didn't like Batman Earth One very much. So
I've heard,
hate things
I
about
love Jeff Johns' writing, so I know Earth One gets a lot of crap because there's a lot of hate of Jeff Johns right now. And that aside, I need to check it out because I've heard great things about it from a lot of people. But I've had heard mixed. I've heard mostly good things from people about it, but I've had heard the people who don't like it really don't like it. So it's like it's one of those things, you know. You
a
don't.
lot of the things seem like the stuff from the Batman. It's like, okay, let's do something different just to do something different. You know, let's
There's no inspiration other than just to be shocking and be different.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
also, I know it's sacred cow for a lot of people. Batman Ego, which again, gorgeous book. Darwin Cook, top 10 artist, ever
Yeah.
for anyone. The book itself isn't bad, but it's very, I don't know if bleak is the right word, but it's kind of oppressive and, sort of like building hey, let's maybe make a new Batman universe out of it and everything. Just I don't know. I'm
I
not
might have to get you on soon for that episode because we're gonna do Ego at some point because of the movie. And so
Yeah,
I might.
I mean,
I have it. I need to read it.
I would definitely be down for reading it again because again, I mean, it's a gorgeous, but it's not bad. It's not a bad book at all, and everything. But I've just, I don't know, just I mean, Philip here, brought up, Chinatown, which is a very bleak, very dark movie,
I love
and
Chinatown. Yeah, it's
and
good.
so it's almost like if this was supposed to just be a take on Batman, okay, that's fine. Since this is supposed to be the tentpole Batman going forward for a while, I don't know if that's like the groundwork that I, would want them to lay. It's like, okay, this might be a good movie, but if you're going to build a universe off of it, is it really going to be something you're going to want to come back to?
Yeah, before we move on to the comic, I will say that a couple things. One, I will say I am nervous that it is drawing too much similarities to the Nolan trilogy. I think that is not necessarily something they may want to just what's the word I'm looking for? Just go off of that, not go off of that, but be too close to it. Not to be too close to that already. It feels too soon, maybe. I wonder if it might suffer from that. I'm not again. I don't know. Who cares? The movie's good. The movie's good. I don't care
Right?
what it
Yeah,
is.
Yeah.
exactly.
But I do think that is there could be an issue there. I don't. I've gone on record very much so that I love the first two Nolan films. I think Dark Knight Rises is it's a mess. It's a goddamn mess.
I like it, but it's
Yeah, I like it.
definitely the weakest of the three.
Yeah.
I like it more as I've gotten a little bit older, but the parts I think are bad are still bad. Like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
really bad. Like I'm just like, why? Anyway, but I think bring up a good point. The world building aspect is so small right now. How do they build off from that? And like it's just
Yeah, exactly.
it is that is something troubling because I do think I want to see Robin at some point. I'm tired. I want to see Robin. Robin needs to be in live action.
Did you
Which
read the little interview thing they talked about today?
is that the I saw the books that he recommended that were Pattinson talked about.
Which was
They're
all over the place. That was
Yeah.
that's
That's
crazy.
awesome. I thought,
Well,
to be
Reeves.
honest.
I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, yeah. The variety that he selected, even if I don't like some of the books, it's like I'm glad you're at least pulling some
Respect.
weird ones out.
I know respect. All right, Adam, go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, Reeves and Pattinson, I guess, like they got asked about, Mr. Freeze and Robin, and they were like, well, because and they were both like, well, Reeves was like,
Agreed.
Mr. Freeze is a great character and his story is great, and if we can figure out a way to incorporate that, I'd be all for it. And someone asked about Robin, and Pattinson said something about it, and Reeves and Pattinson both basically agreed that like if there's a way to incorporate Robin, they want to do that. And they said that they both enjoyed Death in the Family, so it's like, well, all right.
Ooh, Death in the Family is not aged well. It's not a good book. It's not good. I love Starlin. Not a good book.
Leads to great stuff, but the book itself is
is rough.
It's like a
rough.
necessary read, but it's not a great
No, it's
read.
not a great read. It's pretty
No.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's some great storytelling. I think from a medium comic book standpoint. I think as a Brayfogle, not Brayfogle. It's Aparo.
Paro,
Aparo's
yeah.
artwork is really. He does some great like some of the panel layouts he does on that page where Joker's it's kind of brutal. Beating the crap out of Robin is pretty nutty. There is some cool artistic choices that he does, I think that are cool. Before we move on, I wanted to also bring Little Caesars. I want to bring this up. I think this is really cool looking. Like I gotta say, like
Yeah,
I
this is
didn't get a single poster. Like I called afterward because I was seeing people on Twitter saying, "Oh, I got a cool Batman poster." So I called the location I ordered from. I was like, "Hey, I ordered one of those Batman pizzas and didn't get a poster. Do you guys have posters?" They're like, "No, it comes with marinara sauce." I was like, "That's not the same thing. I want a poster."
dude, it's crazy because I thought you could only get one per. It was pretty like, limited supply, whatever. And so on Super Bowl Sunday, my wife picked this up for me and Chris Cloud, who was supposed to be here tonight. And Chris, I go Morgan, make sure because I was gonna give him this because if in case it was we only got one. I was like, see if we can get another one, And she goes okay. And she went in. I thought she'd be like, they'd be kind of give her some crap. She came back with two. I'm like, oh, they give you a hard time. They had like a stack. She was like, yeah, just take whatever.
Okay.
So
they don't care. They don't
I
get
will-
paid enough to care about that
that's
kind of
exactly
stuff.
what people.
I will
said.
say back to like the world building. I mean, personal feelings about the Snyder films aside, I do like seeing Batman in a bigger DC universe.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
but even then, Batman's own universe is big enough that
Right.
you can do something with his extended superhero family and the partners and everything, and Aparo draws the Batman that I envision in my mind. So yes, completely. I like to say Aparo draws the Batman that I think of when I think of Batman, and then
Mhm.
like Brayfogle draws the Batman comics I think of when I think of
Dude.
Batman comics.
Dude, speaking of Brayfogle, it's fun. This is all honestly by happenstance. Do you recognize this at all?
Oh yeah,
Jay?
Prime.
Dude,
Yeah.
Prime Brayfogle though, bro. Like Brayfogle, it's super good. Like his layouts. I mean, I love Prime. I think Prime's a really fun comic, but dude, like Brayfogle's art, his layouts and storytelling is so freaking good. Talk about Robin. Right now, I think actually both. I think Lemire has done a phenomenal job, in my opinion, of bringing Robin in this story. Also, Sam Hamm, and I need to catch up. I'm not sure if they put it the last issue or not, but 89 is doing a phenomenal job. In fact, I've gone on record, and I'm going to say it again when we eventually review it. Um, 89, I think, is the way you want to incorporate Robin in the modern world and have it make sense. Sam Hamm is giving you everything you need, 100%. Have you read any of it, Adam or Jay? 89.
Also one of the books I review. So yeah.
Okay, all right. I've only read the first like 3 issues, but I think the way they're introducing Drake, this Robin character, I think it's like this is the movie. Like this is how they introduce Robin. Is perfect. He's 18 years old. He's a computer whiz. He's street smart. He's had a hard life. That's how you do it. That's how you bring Robin into the story. It's perfect. It's perfect. And it's someone. It's instead of a son, it's a little brother.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of weird that they created a new character, but maybe.
I love it. I love him.
Well, I mean, maybe that was a contract thing. Maybe it was just
Yeah.
hey, let's do something a little different. So yeah, I mean, I like the Robin, and I like his costume.
Oh,
Looks-
dude,
I,
Costume's great.
I love Joe Quinones. So
His art's been great as an artist, right?
yeah.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
art's been
yeah.
fantastic. I need to finish I need to catch up on the book because I've actually been really impressed with it. It's a really fun read. It's whatever. But yeah, I think that to me is how you introduce Robin in the mainstream. Like
Yeah.
for movies, and have it make sense. All right, here we go, boys.
All right.
Dark Knight, Dark City. All right, so wow. All right, I need to figure this out because I stationed my books here or my pictures, how I want to show people everything by 4 people, but now it's only 3, so it's gonna be a little harder for me. So let's bear with me, man. I'm gonna probably play with things a little bit and do this classical thing. Dark Knight, Dark City. All
There we
right,
go.
boys. All right. Before I get into your why Ryan got us into it, I'm curious. Initial thoughts. Jay, I'll go with you first.
Yeah, I've read this once before and then read it over the past 2 days, just to kind of catch up and refresh everything. I mean, it's one of those stories, kind of like what the Batman feels like. You know, if it's just isolated, out of continuity, doesn't really need to worry about anything else. It's very weird. It's very, for the most part, dark. There were a couple of bits of dialogue that I was like, that's kind of corny when, as an age. But I mean, it's very, very creepy. It has a really, really interesting sense of atmosphere. Um, and I mean, it's a good Riddler story. Well, okay, it's a good story featuring the Riddler.
It's an interesting Riddler story.
It's a good story featuring the Riddler. Let's say that. But
Fair
it
enough.
has an aspect that I think too many Batman comics have been missing for the past 25 years at least, that Batman is not prepared for this. He has to figure things out as he goes along. He has to, problem solve and learn and even improvise. And I mean, as much as, prep time Batman is a lot of people's ideal of Batman, I think that's boring. Other than when it's like Batman 66 with Adam West, anything beyond that, it can almost become self-parody. Just having it, he has contingencies for contingencies, and he can, he's 15 steps ahead of everybody, no matter where they are and everything, which gets boring. Seeing him actually have to work through this. And I mean, I can't remember what year this was published. It had to be like in
I'll
the
find it. 90s.
early 90s.
Yeah.
Around this time was like the Grant and Breyfogle stuff, where they had him do the same thing. He was just a vigilante detective who didn't always know the answer to everything, but he did everything he could to figure it out. And that was what made those stories great to read. And what kept this story interesting is we were learning about it as Batman was going along too.
Right. Adam, I had you read this, but 1 hour ago.
Like about 5 hours ago.
Yeah, it feels like it feels like an hour ago.
Like 4 or 5 hours ago.
What again, this is kind of cool though, actually, honestly, because you haven't read many Batman comics, you kind of were into it. What was your kind of
always like that perspective? I love having the perspective of someone who isn't as into like Batman and hasn't read as much. It's always great it's almost like reading it again for the first time and appreciating it with someone. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah,
I'd say, like, I mean, I'm into Batman, but I'm just, the comics have kind of like passed me by a little bit, but I'm kind of working on that a little bit. Like, I've heard so much great stuff about the Alan Grant and Norm Breyfogle stuff that I have a lot of that, and I'm gonna read that at some point. And I know that's the same era as this, so now I'm looking forward to that more because I enjoyed this quite a bit. Yeah, I like what Jay said. I like that it's, it's a mystery that Batman has to solve. I like that Alfred is helping him solve it. I like that they're kind of partnership in this. I like that he has to improvise. I like that he doesn't know that he's unprepared. Like, the scene that you posted today, Paul, like, he's not prepared for this.
No, I'll show. I love this cover, by the way. We'll talk about the covers here in a second, but yeah, this is the comic or the cover or the page, excuse me, layout that I posted earlier. It was this one. Yeah, wow. Yeah, this took me by surprise. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really what makes it is the last little narration box.
And the silhouette. To be honest, right? Him doing it.
It's great visual storytelling without actually showing us anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's great about this book too, is it's pretty dark and brutal, but it's not. But it's very like subtle, and it doesn't outright show it in a lot of cases.
It has like a sense of dread almost. It's not like jump scare. creepy. It has atmosphere. It's like
Yeah.
a creeping, unsettling like feeling, which
Yeah.
Batman himself says multiple times
Yeah.
throughout the story, as he feels like he's being watched, like there's some sort of
Yeah.
presence.
And he says like, "Oh, it was this like gothic cliche, but that's what it feels like."
Yeah, no, exactly. It this was a I mean, I want you to keep going. So just but you enjoyed it though, it sounds like.
I liked it. Yeah. I like this Batman, honestly.
Hmm.
This is I think cuz Batman as a character has changed, has seemingly changed so much over, the decades.
I think the tone has
The
changed.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, if that makes sense. The
Yeah.
tone and the way they, because I think you brought up a good point, Adam, that or maybe it was you, Jay, is that this is a different time, and it's just a little bit, it's just a little different. It's not just dark for like it's well, I'll get into that in a second. But continue. I'm sorry, Adam.
It's just I don't know. I like how this Batman is characterized. Like I don't know. Like I said, I like the relationship with Alfred. What we get, it's kind of brief, but you have Alfred helping him solve these mysteries, these riddles from the Riddler, and and they're like all excited when they crack the code on the thing. They're like,
Yeah.
"That's it."
And
It's
even Bruce, when some of the things Alfred's saying, he's like, "What are you talking about?" And Alfred has to explain it. So I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Batman's smart, but he's not an endless, bottomless pit of
yeah,
knowledge.
exactly.
He needs someone to get ideas off of.
Yeah,
He needs that.
you need
Yeah.
someone to bounce ideas off of and stuff, like a Robin or Alfred or something like that, and Alfred's purpose in this is done really well.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I really like the art, actually. There's a lot of great, layout things, like when he's, yeah, like that. There's, like, when the guard is, about to get hanged,
Oh
and
yeah.
Batman's like, you know, "It's happening," and then he's like, "Well, throw the Batarang," like, that
Yeah.
was really cool. There's some cool splash pages.
Oh, I got one right here. Oh God, one second. Hit the wrong button.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
This is a great splash
There's
page.
zombies. It's like, "Wait, why are there zombies?" Well,
Yeah.
read it and
What
find out.
Zombies.
what I love is that even with like a splash page like that, it doesn't feel like the entire story was told just for that image.
Yeah.
Exactly,
It
yeah.
doesn't feel
Yeah.
like they wrote it around one thing. Like nothing is flashy, like for its own sake. Nothing felt like it was just going to be okay. This is the one that we're gonna make prints of. So let's just
Yeah.
let's just write up to this point, get the cool image, and then wrap
Right.
everything up.
Right.
There wasn't too much flashy. Is Kieran Dwyer right? Was
Yeah.
the penciler?
Yeah.
Um,
Which I love.
so
I love his stuff.
Yeah, I
so I
love
mean,
this.
it was very. I mean, it was very balanced, very economical visual storytelling,
Yeah.
where he had a couple of points to show off like this here, but I mean, he still just served the story more than anything.
Right. And I think this
Yeah, that's a good one. That
yeah,
pose
and
in the bottom middle.
yeah.
Well, both of them really.
Yeah, I think Kieran Dreyer was he also worked on Captain America with Grunwald, and he helped do or help create. I'm assuming, I think you're pretty sure he did, helped create U.S. Agent, and he was part of that run. And he's a really solid artist. Like he's one of those guys that I think that he's not flashy. Like you brought, I think you said, Jay, that the art's not flashy, but it gets the job done, and it really is very natural how they do it. And that's kind of what's missing in comics, I think, these days. I think a lot of artists are going for flash, which I get. They want to be known, they want to get paid, and I get it, but I think the people like the JRJRs of the world and people like this old school mentality is efficiency more than flashiness. And I think
Yeah.
that's the problem right now in comics is that because everyone's going for, for style and not really, and not really consistency, for the most part, again, I'm just my outside observing is that you don't get the consistency over time, and therefore things get delayed and
Yep.
yada yada yada. And
Mhm.
again, there could be a number of different things, but this is a classic example of a workman. It's not, this is not like the artiste were at work. And with all due respect to Kieran Dreyer, this is the guy who knows how to build a brick house and goes in with his, he just comes in and he does his job and just kicks its ass. And that's exactly what this is not like amazing, but this is great. And it's great
He
storytelling.
he's part of the storytelling team, is what he is. He's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
he's not like the marquee artist. Milligan's not the marquee writer. They're both storytellers using different aspects of the medium to tell the same story.
Right. And I think that that's one thing about I love about the story. It feels it, and I love about Brayfogle, about oh my gosh, Aparo, and Dwyer. They're all kind of that same
Alan
vein.
Davis from the
Alan,
same era.
Alan Davis. Oh man, Excalibur baby. Oh man, give me those Excalibur comics. Oh man, I go on for hours about those for many reasons. Yeah, so this is what Ryan Haas, who I asked to when we did this show a long time ago, this is one of the first things he wanted to bring up, because I asked him get some people some comics to read for the Batman, for getting them to get hyped up, and he gave me this because there's a Riddler story. And I asked him, "What else? Why else did you want to bring this in?" He said it's another one of those stories where Gotham is utilized as a character.
Yep.
And then he said, supernatural stuff aside.
Yeah.
Which is fair. So I reading this, and I need to. I'll kind of give you guys the issues. I should probably write this down, but I don't because I'm not prepared. I'm just too busy. Sorry, y'all. But I love y'all. But all right, so you're looking at Batman 452, then 453, 454, the Detective Comics 629, then 630, 631, 632, 633. For whatever reason, the Batman issues in the Detective Comics aren't necessarily connected, but they put them in a trade.
It's because it's all the stuff that Peter Milligan did for Batman at this time, I think.
Yeah, but Milligan went on after this though, so he had a long run on the character with Dixon, and he was part of the Nightfall crew, right, Jay? See, this is why I
Maybe.
need
I don't
Ryan
remember.
Haas in this business, man. Where the hell? Haas, where are you? Or freaking Lauer, or where's freaking Peter, man? Where the hell's Peter? He get on this crap. But no, Milligan. For those who don't know, he's part of the British Invasion. He's part of the I want to say part of the Vertigo crew. He's part of the
Because he
2000
did Hellblazer, right?
Did he do Hellblazer?
Constantine.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Isn't Constantine his character?
I thought that was no. Well, Alan Moore created him in Swamp Thing, right?
Maybe, I don't know. Well,
But
was
I
it
think
was
you're
it
right,
Milligan
though.
who wrote the series
I
though?
think you're right, though. I think you're right. And then Milligan and part of the whole, again, that British Invasion, and then he came in. And Milligan, he's one of those writers that's kind of escaped me, and besides the last couple of years, I kind of didn't realize how much he did. He and Allard did that Ecstatic comic. If you guys
Yeah, I've
remember
heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't no idea that was Milligan." I knew it was Allard, obviously, because Allard's art, but I'm like, "Oh, it's Peter Milligan."
I
Okay.
think there's a new kind of like follow-up series
There
to
is.
that out now
Yeah,
too.
there is.
Oh, he also did a comic for AWA called American Ronin, and I haven't read it yet. I bought the trade. I bought it just because it's him, and I love the title, and the synopsis sounds really interesting. So I was like, "Okay, I'm in." So I'm gonna eventually review that for the comic binge, but yeah, Milligan, I've only read I think some of the Nightfall issues that I didn't even know that he was, and this is different. And again, in tradition of the comic binge, I don't like to spoil too much of these stories. I want you guys all to read them because I believe these comics need to be read. The medium is too good for me to spoil it and do a review video and spoil everything for you don't have to read it. Go read the comics; they're a lot of fun. One of the things I'm curious what you guys thought, and I was really I kind of missed this to be honest, was Batman kind of screwed up a lot in this. Like it wasn't like Batman's like I'm so smart, I figured everything out. Like how you guys were talking about, going off of Alfred and everything. But one thing, just even up against normal people and against some of the obstacles he was up against, he kind of got his ass kicked a little bit. Like not like ass kicked, but like he wasn't perfect, and he did kind of mess up a little bit. So I kind of like that. I like the fact
Yeah.
that this Batman wasn't. It was gritty to a point where Batman wasn't just this unstoppable force. He's he's gonna win, but he doesn't do it perfectly.
Through like will and determination, not just through having everything figured out.
Yeah,
right up
or
front.
he's perfect, physical specimen that he can just, outsmart everybody and he can out strength everybody and outfight everybody. This, I mean, like what I liked about this was like, going to be against normal crooks because he's a normal person. There's that sense of realism, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
But at least the fact that they have somewhat of a fighting chance against Batman because he's not a superhero. Does that make any
Yeah.
sense?
Oh
No,
yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And you could even chalk it up to kind of the supernatural element that's running through it as well. As he's distracted, he's not in the right mindset because
Yeah.
there's just some sort of like specter looming everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially when he says that he drives through that that one area of Gotham. He says that it's heavier here. Oh, I hit my microphone. It's heavier here. There's like a presence just looming that I can't shake off, just something in the back of my head. So he's not even thinking straight because he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I like to kind of draw the thing to my point earlier about how it's much more interesting when he doesn't have contingencies for everything.
Right.
Why would he know about this? I mean, even if going up against someone like Darkseid, until he knows Darkseid exists, he would have no reason to have a plan for Darkseid.
Yeah.
So even then, it's much more interesting to see. I love that cover,
dude,
by the way.
so
Oh
good.
god.
This cover.
Oh man.
Agreed.
So it's a lot more interesting to see him try to piece things together, work through stuff, maybe get roughed up a little bit, not because he is inept or a putz or whatever, and just doesn't actually know what he's doing or gets really overpowered by everybody. But I mean, if he has to fight off 3 goons, one of whom has a flamethrower, and also has to worry about saving a child, like an infant, and do all these things, it's like no matter how smart and prepared he is, he's not going to be able to just throw a batarang and a couple of punches and walk out of there unscathed. He might have to take a few blows himself so that he can get even just a couple extra seconds to come up with a solution to solve the problem that he's been presented.
Yeah, I think, and that's one thing I like about Peter Milligan. He definitely goes. There was definitely some unconventional ideas, which I think works for Batman. And that's the one thing I will say is that even the supernatural elements and like the for the whole stories of all these things, Batman seems out of place with it purposefully. It's not like it's like, I'm out of over my head, but he doesn't seem, like you said, that specter looming over this whole kind of these comic books. There is that sense of that he feels out of his element a little bit, like that.
Yeah.
Even he acknowledges that, like, this isn't my bag. It's not like I'm out of my element. I better get what's her name, the chick with the
Zatanna.
Yeah, thank you, Zatanna. Which is a great character, but I mean, like, again, like, again, that's the easy approach. It's not always the wrong approach either, but it just was nice to see him in an element where, like, no, he's a vigilante, and when he has to go up against these supernatural-ish kind of ideas, it's not natural for him. And even though that's been, I think, a little bit more, like you said, Jay, he has a contingency plan for everything. So he's gonna have like the specters and the spooks and the goblins and the elder dimensions all figured out. Like, don't worry, I've got that all. I got them on my zip drive.
Just in case.
Just in case. But I think this is where you can feel his frustration with it more, which I think was purposely done by Peter Milligan, which I really liked. I liked Milligan's voice for Batman.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I love the way he wrote the personality. I love and
I agree.
This is one thing I will say too, reading it, and I I'm cool. I can go either way on this, and I'm curious what you guys think. We're all old school comic book fans. I like the fact that you can get narration again. That's not just narration from the character. You know what I mean? Like it's not just Batman narrating the whole thing. It's actually a narrator over top of it. Like again, like in this on this page, where he writes Batman's talking to himself, but then you have like it's differentiated because you've got
Yeah.
the white boxes, and then you have this, and the text is different. I like
Hmm.
that. I like the fact they're giving us a little bit of a narration. It just spices up a little bit. And I like the fact that Milligan, would do that. I have one. It's not even. It's a criticism. I'm not sure if it's major or minor. I'll let you guys decide.
Okay.
But I hate cursive.
I
Get
was
back.
I knew you were gonna
How'd you
bring that
know?
up
How'd you know?
because I saw like on Twitter like weeks ago someone said that like, oh, don't do cursive in the caption boxes at all, and you agreed with it or something.
Okay, yeah, no, dude. It's full disclosure.
I was like, Paul's not gonna like this.
No. I'll be honest. I skimmed most of it because I'm like I hate reading cursive.
when
But
when I opened the app, like I read this on DC Universe Infinite, and when I opened like the first page and got to the whole cursive text and everything, I was like, ugh. And I shut off my phone for a little bit so I could go do something else, so I could kind of get in the mindset of, okay, I don't want to dive into this right now.
right, no, right. I mean, okay, for me, Jay, I'm not sure about you. We're close in age, I believe. So I mean, I think right when I started learning cursive, like in fourth or fifth grade or third or fourth grade, I start, you gradually, obviously
Really.
learn up to it. My fifth grade teacher's like, "Oh, that's going away. So we're not gonna learn it." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
You
And I
didn't learn
thought,
it?
w-
I learned it.
well, I learned it, but it was not emphasized like
I
at
see.
all. Like it
Okay.
was, and so and I'm not sure. I think everyone assumed. I mean, a lot of teachers I think assumed it was going away, and it's mostly gone away for the most part. But like when I work in medical, and I just trying to read like all these old school like nurses and doctors. Like it's just like it looks like just like Egyptian writing to me.
Yeah,
I'm like I have no idea.
chicken scratch, I
I'm like
think
what?
is what they call it.
I'm like it's like I'm like what is this? I can't even like determine what this is. It's like there's like scribbles. So when I see all these pages in cursive, I'm like yeah, I'm just gonna skim this. I can read it, but I have to really like look at it, like
Yeah,
pay attention. And I'm like, nope, not doing it.
like I said, it's not because I couldn't read it; it's because I didn't want to.
It's kind of I can read it, but sometimes I have trouble with words, and I'm just like you said, I'm like I want to just waste my time with this. It's not worth it.
And
Because
the
yeah,
letter, I mean, the lettering was great. Like to your
no,
point about
yeah,
like the Batman's internal monologue versus what ends up being.
yeah,
Well, I won't spoil it, but what
yeah,
is looming over the whole thing? Having the different colored
Okay.
text boxes plus the different fonts and
Yep.
sizes and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
The letterer, the script they came up with was a great cursive script. Really good. Stylistic choice. It's still just the fact that it's cursive and
yes,
it can be quite difficult to read, especially when they were using some maybe archaic spellings like putting an
Yeah.
A and an E
yes,
next to something.
yes.
um
Oh my
it,
gosh,
and I had to kind of like sound it out like, oh, okay, that's what that word is.
dude. Okay, so it's John Costanzo. I'm gonna say this right now. I need to pay more attention to letterers and inkers than I do. And
Yeah, dude.
I'm guilty. I'm so
we
I
all
need
we all do, yeah.
and our friend Neil on our Spidey Dude podcast, that dude is like a inker like junkie. He just loves like to talk about inkers and this inker and this. I'm just like I can't. I want to be better about it, but John Costanza does deserve a lot of credit for I think this, and I think again this gives credit to the medium because it's again you're utilizing the captions and the things of the book that make comics unique, and you're utilizing everything. You're utilizing I think the layouts, you're utilizing all the ideas of what the lettering and the narrations, and you're not just wasting time. You're using things to push
And
story.
using it to set specific time and place too, because the
Exactly.
cursive
Yeah.
is from 1764 or whenever
Yeah.
it was, so that helps differentiate the different time frames.
And that's why I love comics, man. It's like it really is an untapped. Let me take that back. It's an untapped medium for so many people because of just the weird connotations of it, from and I can go on hours about this topic, but it sucks because it's so unique in how they can use both visuals and lettering and words. It's just, I love that. And this is a great example of like not artistic way, but I think in a way like, or not be artsy fartsy, but like in a sense to where you're utilizing all the tools of the trade, and I like that. That I very much will use Tom King's analogy of like monthly comics as very much the blue collar of writing. And I'm like, yeah, like that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, there is an art and a workman style like idea combining with monthly comics, so that which is kind of fascinating because to be honest, you don't, you think about TV shows, it's very much like a production, right? It's very much there's so many people going, putting their hands in it. It's a complete, collaboration. Whereas comic books, it's very much like a band. Like we're all musicians here. I know we're all big musicians here, and what I love about music specifically is the collaboration process of writing together and working off. And comics remind me a lot of that, where it's not just you can have it be two people or three people or five people, but it is about collaboration and working off of each other. When you have a small group of working people together of this idea, it can be fun to get things off of, and you have a really unique piece of art in the long run, or in the in whatever. And what's interesting about comic books, especially monthly comics, is that there is that workman style, like again, that whole blue collar, bring your lunchbox, get it, bring it out, pump it out. And there is it's you don't really see that too much in art. It's either like this giant production where it's just like, oh my god, or it's super artsy fartsy. You put it on Fantagraphics, and it's, again, not a bad thing, but it's just it's just different. It's just interesting. So I think this is a great example of blue collar comics done right way, and having like, and it's not just run of the mill boring crap. This was not boring. It was weird at times, but it was not boring. So I will say, if you're like new to comics, I don't know if I would recommend this off the bat, to be honest. It's not, I don't think, the strongest representation of what the medium, if you're just walking right into it. I'll just say that, in my opinion. I would actually go with something like more like this. It's a little more interesting. It's kind of crazy, but it kind of shows you it's just a little more modern, fun. We'll talk about this next week, which, yeah, we'll talk about this. But I would say last week's episode of oh my gosh, I'm forgetting what we even talked about last week. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on what we talked about last week? Oh, Zero Year. Yeah, I would say Zero Year last year, or last week's episode, very much more, I think, appropriate for a new reader than this would be. If you're starting to get into comic books, and you love the Batman, the movie, or you're getting hyped for it, and you've read comics a little, but you haven't dived too deep into Batman, I definitely recommend at that point Dark Knight, Dark City. But now, if you're just starting out, not because it's not like it's you're not ready. It's just that I don't know if you're gonna like it and appreciate it as much if you don't kind of get used to the medium a little bit, because this is a little old school. And it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, but it's not bad.
It's
But
it's like one of the shows I was on with the Three Jokers is I said that would be a good like second level Batman book.
yeah, that's great.
After
I
after
agree.
after you've read the classics, after you've, because I mean that book also required knowledge of like the Killing Joke and then other Batman
Yeah,
stories.
yeah,
So diving into it cold, it might make sense for a new reader. I don't know. But I mean, it's definitely one that if someone were to ask me, hey, I've never read a Batman book, should I read this first? I'd probably say no. Just because, I would say, hey, go read this stuff over here first. And then
right.
if you like what you've read, if you're really interested in, whatever, then, we can talk that. This would be kind of one of those same stories.
Yeah,
Like a lot of the, we keep bringing them up, the Grant and Brayfogle stuff. And weirdly enough, even going into like Nightfall, like that is just so accessible because of like I'm going to put it on Denny O'Neil, like completely just knowing how to craft the Batman continuity and make everything work together, even if it's a story that is told in so many different parts and requires, knowing why this one guy coming to take Batman down is a big deal. It would still be easier for a new reader to read Nightfall than it would for them to read Dark Knight, Dark City, just because
That's a good
it's
point. Yeah.
it's a the Batman in this book isn't that far off base of a typical Batman.
Yeah.
But I mean, it might paint a weird picture of the Riddler, who
Yeah.
is. I mean, I'll say that I was interested and invested in the story to find out why he was doing everything. The payoff, I don't think totally works because it honestly
I
kind of
agree
just
with that. Yeah.
it kind of just forgets the Riddler at the end of it, and a lot of the story could have been was built on contrivances. It's like, okay, well, if Batman didn't do this, your whole plan falls apart. So,
That's true, actually. Yeah.
but I mean, it's
It's
just
what, yeah.
for what the story is and everything. It worked, and it was interesting seeing it come together. But it's not like I said, like I corrected myself earlier. It's not a great Riddler story. It's a good story that happens to feature the Riddler,
That's a good point.
but it could have been another character there as well. Like, it didn't have to be the Riddler.
Yeah.
It just mostly lined up with his MO, but you could have gotten like Deacon Blackfire in here, and this would have probably worked even better.
Wow.
Just because he already has like that supernatural, kind of, cultish vibe to him that, trying to, reenact some sort of ancient, summoning ceremony would be much more in his wheelhouse than it would, Edward, I'm the smartest guy in the room and I'm going to prove it to everybody, Nigma. So
Yeah. No, I think you guys are on. I think we're all in agreement. That's not a bad story. It's just not. It's just not like the pinnacle of what you want to do. I think a second or third tier Batman story is definitely a great. It's perfect. Three Jokers too is, to your point, it's one of my favorite Batman stories. But I agree with you. It's not something I would. I had my brother read it, and I thought he would remember what happened to Jason Todd, but he was like, oh, he kind of forgot. My brother, it's weird. I have a pretty good memory. He has a terrible memory. He doesn't remember what he did like yesterday. It's crazy. I love you, Derek. I need to get you on here sometime. But yeah, no, I recommend this if you read comics before and you're looking for
Yeah.
more Batman. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is well worth it. But really quick, I also want to say what I don't understand why they don't haven't done this already before was really quick. This is like pre Nightfall. I think it's part of the prelude to Nightfall actually. But when Enigma takes on or Riddler takes Venom and he like it's all buff and like he punches like Batman and like they actually like brawl it out. It's pretty cool. I think it's Dixon. Maybe it is Milligan who wrote that. I'll have to look it up. I'll look it up here. But that was one of my favorite Riddler's comic books because it's the first time that Riddler actually can match Batman like physically, you know. So I thought it was interesting. But
yeah,
yeah,
if you find that, yeah, like share
oh,
it because it sounds vaguely familiar. Like, I think I can envision it, but I don't know if I'm just
the cover
uh,
is the cover is Riddler holding Batman by the throat over a building.
okay.
It's
I
right.
found it.
Oh, you
It's
found it?
Batman 490. I just looked
490.
it up.
Okay. Yeah, it was right before. Right, it was like I think it's part of the prelude to Nightfall. It wasn't like Nightfall, but it was like right around that time frame. Fun little comic book.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, was the cover from, was it Travis Charest?
It's
Yeah, he has a very uh, distinct style.
he
I'll
does.
say
Yeah,
that.
I think that. So anyway, guys, this has been really fun. Like I mean, I didn't expect not to have fun, but I just was like I wasn't feeling great. Everyone bailed on me. It was like literally it was like everybody. And I was like, all right, we'll just see what happens. And this was a freaking blast. This is
Oh yeah.
exactly. I love you guys. You guys are great. I always say it to all. I'm so blessed to know so many rad people who one are fun to talk to, and know their comic books. And I appreciate you guys so much for like coming on and helping me out and just giving me a chance to just shoot the shit about comics. It's great, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I guess we'll promote some stuff and get out of here. J-Man, where can people find your reviews, your rights, it sounds like, and also like where you're on your shows, podcasts, hit us up, man.
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm just personally at JAYAWS. It's kind of a portmanteau of my first and last name. Just smash them together there. And I also have a personal blog. It's at Comic Pause, like you
Yes.
pause the video game. Haven't done a lot of writing there lately, just because I have a day job that pays money, and I also have to go to lest I get fired. But do some writing over there. I write for Batman News, a lot of news and lots of comic reviews.
I didn't know you wrote on Batman News, by the way. I'm
Mhm.
very familiar with that site. I had no idea you wrote for them, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
be checking that out now. Okay.
My Little Caesars Batman Calzone review
I'm
is
reading that.
on the Batman News
That's awesome. It's so
page.
good. So
And
good.
I've what else do I have out there? I have. It's only been one episode so far, but I guess I've officially joined the Everyone Loves the Drake crew. Rob and I did a Young Justice show together
Awesome.
and covered a couple of the 96, 97 Peter David and Todd Knock run, but also did the Brian Bendis run. We just did issue 1 of World's Finest 3 a couple weeks ago. Everyone Loves Young Justice kind of on extended hiatus, but Rob was like, I should have brought you on to the Drake from the get-go when we started this. So yeah, let's bring you on, and you can start covering stuff with us. So only one episode so far. It was World's Finest 3 number 1. We'll get number 2 done eventually, but I'm also on that show now, and I've guested on that show a couple times before too. So
Dude, I it's so funny because I love Grummet's. His work in the 90s is it's just brilliant, man. And it's so funny because I've been looking for this comic for like to complete this. It's only 2 issues, right? And so
yeah,
I found this literally a couple months ago at a thrift store.
nice. I bought it. I tell the story on the episode, but I bought it at
$1.99.
nice
Nice.
a comic stand in a mall. That is, the comic stand's no longer there, but it was just in the middle of the mall, and it was early in my Robin comic collecting run. And the last binge, the live stream I was on, I said that I was trying to get every solo Tim Drake. Yeah, I completed it.
I saw that online. I did see that.
Phil Barker Unfiltered here. Yeah, he found a couple issues for me and sent them to me.
Awesome, man.
Justin Kowalski sent me some. I filled in a lot of the run at Fan Expo Dallas, and then just filled everything else. So now I'm just trying to get random cool comics. Like I got Batman 465 the other day. That was like Tim's first night on patrol.
I saw that. That's a great cover.
Yeah, gosh, one of the best Batman and Robin with the spotlight on him. Brayfogle, brilliant. Oh, nice. Bought World's Finest 3 at a mall near a Taco Bell.
Wow.
But funny enough, the other day at a Half Price Books, I found a bundle of Young Justice comics for $7. It was like issue 1 and then like 12 of the issues like toward the end of the series. I was like, well, I guess I'm collecting this one now. So now I'm trying to get Young Justice. So I'll stop talking so Adam can plug anything for himself.
No, we're this is great, man. We're just kicking it right now. Everyone who's I need to say this more at the beginning of the show. Like, subscribe, all that crap, whatever. I don't know. I do this because I love comics and I love discussing things with people, and I try to keep things and not so long because people don't like long videos. I'm the exact opposite. I love long crap. So just literally too, I love long craps. It feels great. I'm just kidding.
Jesus.
I know I'm getting gross here. No, but no, seriously though, I love long things, but everyone does. I'm trying to keep them condensed. But yeah, that was I'm all about this is great, man. This is awesome. And J-Man, we're gonna have you on for Ego because I love to hear people's different opinions and debating them and discussing things. I'm curious if you change your mind about Ego, and when we all get together and talk about it, that'd be cool. So
yeah,
that'd be rad. All right, Adam, man, tell us about yourself.
Enchilada Legs on Twitter. Spidey Dude Experience on the Spidey Dude Radio Network, which is on YouTube and
Yes.
Facebook, and
Yes.
there's a website, Spidey-Dude.
I get it's weird Zach hasn't been on the show yet. It's weird. It's not because I don't want him on the show. It's been busy, and it's like I just
Yeah.
I love you, Zach.
Yeah, I think we're doing a
handle is so great that I kind of want to know the story behind enchilada legs, but I also kind of want it to be a mystery. So just know that I think it's brilliant.
all right. Yeah, that's fair.
It is pretty great. I ain't gonna lie. You're rad.
Yeah, I think we're doing a Spidey Dude Experience episode tomorrow night, talking
Cool.
about the latest issues. I'm not maybe Paul will be on because I don't know when we're starting. I don't know the start time yet.
It's hard. Yeah, with being time zones suck, dude. That's all I gotta
Yeah.
say. It sucks.
Because because the majority, well, like half and half of the people on the show are like either in the South or on the West, the East Coast,
West side,
and we're on the West side, so
best side. That's all I gotta say.
Best Coast, you
Best
know.
coast, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is the best coast, I've been told.
It is.
Yeah.
I think so, but I'm biased. I grew up here.
Sure.
so
Yeah.
What do I know? But no. But yeah, you need to get more out, be more out there. I just want more Adam. I've always said that. You probably didn't believe me, but I do believe. That's why I have you on the shows, man. You're great. You're awesome.
It's like, well, invite me on, dude.
Hey, I get you on. You're on my Spider-Man show. Come on, man. Come on, it was me
I
and
know.
you. Anyway, no, we'll get you on. We'll get you on for more Batman comics, man. Because
Yeah, like I said, I actually, let's see, I have some of the Starlin stuff. I don't have Death in the Family, but I have that Starlin trade, Cape Crusader Volume 1, I think. And I have a lot of those
good
Dark
stuff.
Knight. I have a lot of those Dark Knight detective trades that they've been doing with the Grand Brayfogle stuff. So
yeah.
if
Also
you ever
good
cover
stuff.
that stuff,
Well, and we will. I mean, especially
Yeah.
I've got a lot of I have a lot of Batman people in my life, which I'm very thankful for. I'm a Batman person. I love Batman. I
Me
know
too,
I know
yeah.
a decent amount about Batman, but not much
Yeah.
of these characters.
Exactly,
These characters
yeah.
blow me out of the water, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine. But anyway, everyone, please like the video, subscribe, comment, say I suck. That's fine. I don't care if that person comes back from Twitter and says all these nasty things. That's fine too. Hey, gives me in the algorithm. Whatever. Yeah, that sweet YouTube algorithm. But everyone, thank you so much for if you have subscribed. Super appreciate it. Next week we are doing Batman the Imposter, and I cannot wait to talk about this book. I cannot wait. I like it a lot. This spoiler alert, I like it a lot. So next week I'm hoping it's gonna be probably a Friday night. It's what's looking like right now. So not Tuesday. Hopefully Star Wars, my Boba Fett first Star Wars comic kind of centric series will be showing up soon. With Dark Choco. Hopefully we're gonna be doing that. I haven't guilted him enough yet, but he seems interested still. So hopefully we'll knock that out. But everyone, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll take us away because our friend Chris is in here. Read more comic books. Bye, guys. Bye. Whoa, it's just so weird.